Hey guys, it's Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the infamous Butterfly Labs ASIC Bitcoin miner. This one happens to be the Jalapeno. One thing to note, when Butterfly first advertised the Jalapeno, it was shown with a picture of a much smaller, more streamlined design, and I believe it didn't require an external power source. However, due to changes in the manufacturing process later down the road, they discovered that it wasn't adequate. It needed a better heatsink for cooling, and as you can hear, it's got a fan going on in there as well. And they also found out that it used more power than they initially thought it was going to. So that's why they needed an external power source. It comes with, obviously, the ASIC miner itself, a short USB cord, and a relatively long power cord. Now, on the website, it doesn't go into actually too much about its power consumption, but I've estimated with my kilowatt meter that it's using around 20-25 watts, somewhere around that range, which is definitely a lot higher than what they initially were saying. When they first advertised, they were assuming that it was going to be about 1 watt per gigahash. Obviously, they missed the mark on that pretty badly, and because of that, they had to keep their promise of donating 1,000 bitcoins to charity. Still, we have the device here, and we're testing it out, and we're going to show you the software and what it's actually running at. Now, they're saying that it should produce 5 gigahashes of processing power, I guess you would say. You know, on the software, it's noted as hardware speed. So about 5 gigahashes per second, plus or minus 10%, depending on certain factors. They do supply their own mining software for you to use. It's really simple, easy to set up, and I'll show that to you in a minute. So obviously we got it hooked up, and you can hear it. It's not very loud. Got our red indication light. So let's bring the camera a little closer so we can kind of get some details about this here device. So we're going to zoom out. Okay, so this is the device. See Butterfly Labs' symbol on top. If we kind of do a 360 view here, see the back, this is somewhat of intake. I think the front here is actually exhaust. Could be the other way around. Can't really tell. I'm not sure how the fan is technically mounted on the inside. I believe this is brushed anodized aluminum. It's most likely aluminum. It feels like it. Pretty sturdy, solid feeling piece. Now, let's go over here, because I was talking about that hash rate. This is Butterfly's website over here, and they, you know, as they note, it's out of stock right now. 5 gigahashes is what they rated at, but if you look over here at the software, we're actually producing a little over 6.5 gigahashes per second, which is not bad, and we're running at a temperature of 51 degrees Celsius. Now, the temperature does kind of go up and down a bit depending on the ambient temperature in the room you're in. So, you know, that's definitely something to take into consideration. You can daisy chain, per se, the USB connection, which I have mine in a hub. And that's actually what they recommend you do, is you put all your ASIC miners in a hub and just daisy chain it together. Now down here we got, you know, charts and graphs, you know, temperature, hashing speed, other statistical data. Now, one thing about Bitcoins that's interesting is the recent changes as of a few days ago. Today is November 30th, 2013. And what I want to do really quick is I'm going to go over to Mt. Gox which, if you're into bit mining, you should be familiar with that website. So let's look at something really quick. I'm more concerned with the average price of Bitcoins right now, which is $1,209. That's a pretty enormous jump from what it was a few days ago. And you might be wondering why that is. So I did a little digging, and essentially the main fear about Bitcoins and whatnot was that the US government was threatening to outlaw Bitcoins, essentially, because there's some law or regulation in place that states that you cannot have a currency that rivals the United States dollar. Well, Bitcoin is a currency. By, international standards, it is. And let's be frank, as soon as it started going past $45, $50 a Bitcoin, that's when people started considering it to, rivaling silver a little bit. Now, obviously, silver is a tangible object. You can physically hold it. Silver and gold, they're always worth something regardless of anything because they're physical objects. Bitcoin, as we all know, is all digital. It doesn't physically exist. But what happened was a section of the government actually held a hearing about this particular subject as to whether Bitcoins was a real issue or not. And long story short, they decided that Bitcoins were actually sort of a good thing. After that information was released, the price of Bitcoins just skyrocketed. Now, as to the exact reason why the people chose that Bitcoins should raise in price after this, there's a lot of factors with Bitcoins. It's very volatile, goes up, goes down for a lot of different reasons. So, regardless of that, a lot of people were upset with Butterfly because technically these were on pre-order for a long time, over a year, maybe over a year and a half, I think, actually. They were supposed to have been shipped out a long time ago, and they only finally just got here, So, as the difficulty rose, the devices became more and more useless, per se, because they simply wouldn't generate enough money to see a return on your investment. However, that was back when they were still about $150 a Bitcoin. Now, although this is only hashing at about 6 gigahashes, which, compared to a graphics card or even especially a CPU, that's a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, when you've got, other miners that are doing way more than that, this is the lowest end that Butterfly makes, the lowest end device. So, even with this, because of the recent spike in the price in Bitcoins, it's actually becoming somewhat viable as an option again. Now, as far as Butterfly Labs goes, they've had a really strange history with their customers. At first, people were complaining that they simply weren't telling everyone enough in order for them to feel comfortable. Then they became too transparent, and everyone freaked out and started calling them fakes, wondering if they really even existed as a company. Well, here's the product, here they are. A lot of people canceled their pre-orders, but a decent bit of people stuck through with it, and I was actually one of the people who canceled my pre-orders, but my friend and a few of his friends actually split for this little guy just to see what would happen. And now that it's actually here, we had pre-ordered it about 7 months ago. Sounds about right. Yeah. So about 7 months ago we had pre-ordered it. It was supposed to have shipped a month after the pre-order, so you can imagine the frustration of the people who've been waiting for a year and a half. But another thing to take into consideration real quick before you consider buying one of these little devices is that Butterfly Labs will be releasing a new series of mining hardware called the Monarch cards, which in terms of gigahash for your dollar are much more financially viable and these little devices. However, given Butterfly's reputation, even though they're claiming they'll be shipping early next year or within this year or soon in general, that has yet to be seen. Given what they've done in the past, I'm skeptical. But you can order the 65 nanometer ASICs immediately, and they're all ready, stocked, and prepared to ship out. So yes, Butterfly Labs does exist. Yes, they are shipping their devices. Yes, they do work. Their software is nice and easy to look at and use, and it performs a little better than expected. They had some hiccups. They took forever to get their stuff out, but in the end, given the current situation, it seems okay. Now, if you're watching this video sometime in the future, something happens, well, it's up to you to decide whether these things are worth it or not. But it'll be interesting to see where the future of Bitcoin's heads. So anyway, that's a short little review on the Butterfly Labs, formerly known as the Jalapeno, because they're actually using a mini SC enclosure now. I'm not sure what they're calling this anymore. I think it's just called the 5 gigahash miner, which regardless, I still call it a jalapeno. That's the review on it. If you're into bit mining, hope it helped, and thanks for watching.